Everybody, welcome back to the Tiger Wire podcast, the Clemson Tiger Wire. We are so glad you're joining us. Today is a special episode. Got a big day today for a couple different reasons. Number one, as you can tell, some of you, it's our first video podcast. So starting now, we're going to be doing all or at least most of our episodes video. So if you listen to them on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anything like that, you don't have to change anything. It won't change your experience at all. But if you want a more visual video element, you can always go over to YouTube, follow us on there. You can go to our Instagram or TikTok for clips. But so you can have that video. We're excited about that. We think that's a great way for just us to continue growing this platform, growing the Tiger Wire, and growing our community. So we're excited about that. But it's also a special day for another reason. Today, we are kicking off our ACC rankings. The ACC season kicks off tomorrow, January 2nd. So we're excited about it. But yeah, so we're going to kick off in today's episode. Instead of focusing only on Clemson basketball, rather than that, we're going to go in and we're going to dive into the ACC rankings. We're going to talk about every single team in the ACC, key players, key moments, where we think their projections and their rankings will be, where we rank them now. Then we're going to go into some predictions of Player of the Year, Coach of the Year, Regular Season Champs, and ACC Champions. So it's going to be a great day, great episode. Thank you so much for joining us. Just a reminder, we are a part of the Believe Network, where you can find information podcasts on every topic, every team, everywhere. So if you're interested in more podcasts, make sure you head over to Believe Network and find some more podcasts about pretty much anything over on their website. That's BLEAV.com. Awesome. So this is a lot of topic, a lot of content for me to handle myself. So we actually have some awesome guests with us today. We're excited about them. I'm grateful for them. Two of my best friends. So they're going to hop on right here. Over here, we got Mr. Duke Blue Central, Michael Craver. He's an awesome guy. Welcome, Michael.
Yes, thank you, John. Thank you for the warm welcome. Very warm welcome, may I add. Seeing your face on this video has just brought me immense joy.
You're welcome.
Shout out to all the people watching and listening.
There we go. Appreciate it. So Michael is a huge college basketball fan, college sports fan, really big sports fan everywhere. But he's actually, if you're interested in Duke, he's got a great podcast, Duke Blue Central. It's got some great stuff over there. You can listen to that everywhere, right? Spotify, podcasts.
Everywhere. For some reason, you're a lost pup and you chose to root for Clemson basketball. We're still accepting fans over at Duke. You can switch allegiance at any time. I welcome any new fans with open arms. But yeah, if you want to hit me up, you can follow me on Twitter, Duke Blue Central, or just search that anywhere you listen to podcasts.
There we go. Well, if you want to do that, you can. I listen to it every once in a while, just getting a little break. I'm just kidding. No, it's great stuff. And then can't leave out our other special guest, equally as important. Down here, we got Mr. Anthony Morrow. Welcome, Anthony, NC State fan over here. How's it feel? Welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you. Happy New Year. Still,
Happy New Year.
True.
Happy New Year, guys. Look forward to this podcast. Should be fun.
Oh, yeah. Anthony has been a lifelong friend, pretty much. We've known each other since elementary school, played some sports together, went to college together. If that face of his is familiar to you, that beautiful face, just you see that and you're like, hey, I recognize him. It's because he's a celebrity. We're not a bunch of bums here. He's a celebrity. He's on TV not every week, but a lot of weeks over on Patrol Live, formerly known as Live PD, but we won't say that. But yeah, On Patrol, he is a corporal in the sheriff department, saving lives, protecting the community. So you've probably seen him over on there. If you haven't, give it a check out. His tag down there is his Twitter bio or Twitter tag. If you want to go give him a follow, he's got good stuff over there. So Anthony, welcome to the show. Michael, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Yep. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be great. So we're just going to dive right in. We're going to jump right in and go through our rankings. We're going to be fun and start at 15, leave the suspense alive as we get down to number 1. So I'm going to jump right in. I got 15th worst team in the ACC, in my opinion. I think they'll end last. I'm not going to lie. It changed recently, and we'll get to why soon. But I got number 15 as the Louisville Cardinals.
Yeah, I've got them there too. I want to know why it changed. It was like this for me the whole time.
There was another team at 15 that
all right.
that fell back. So we'll get
wait,
there.
We'll
get there next. Yeah, it's literally the next one. Wasn't a big change, but yeah, Louisville. What y'all think about Louisville? Talk to me.
I agree with you.
I
agree 100%. They did have the one good game against Texas. They lost by 1 point, but they've had some pretty bad losses. Chattanooga, DePaul got destroyed by Kentucky by 20. So
I forgot about Chattanooga.
Yeah, some games that they probably should have won have not been able to pull it off. But I'll give them credit; they did play good against Texas.
Yeah, I think Louisville's a mess. My biggest thing for them is like it's crazy to watch how far they've fallen from where they were with Rick Pitino. I mean, they were expected to come in the top 3 every year in the ACC, and then he leaves. They won a title. They won a title, and I think it was 14. Right after that Kevin Ware injury, pretty notable national title. But they're just a mess of a program right now. I think they're getting ready to clean house and get rid of almost everybody on that coaching staff, which is interesting. Duke's former head associate coach Nolan Smith, Duke legend, teammates with John Shire, who's now the coach at Duke, is the head associate coach there at Louisville, which he left the job at Duke to go do that. I think thinking he was going to be the guy in waiting to be the next head coach, and I don't know if he'll be around much longer. I think they're going to clean house totally. Only good thing about Louisville, I'll say, the court, really cool court. So if there was a championship for having the coolest court design, they might win.
They got nice court.
You like the cardinal dunking? You know what I'm talking about?
It's unique for sure.
Yep.
It's kind of like
the older retro.
Yeah, I love the retro stuff. That's
It's like
great
a blue
court.
Football field. It's unique. It's
all right. Maybe not that crazy, but I love the court. Love the jerseys.
They're
everything
good.
Else.
I think Louisville. It's crazy because I think if you look, like I read a stat the other day. I was reading an article and it was like the hottest, most desirable coaching roles in the college basketball and all NCAA.
Yep.
And Louisville is like a top 10 seat. It's crazy.
Kind of doesn't surprise me. The historical relevance is there.
Absolutely.
Money's there. Like that.
But bottom 15
wild.
team. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the
team
bottom.
this year.
And
exactly. Yeah.
It was funny. Like they didn't even get an SEC matchup this year because they were so bad. You guys recall like the ACC SEC challenge? They just got kicked out of it because they were so bad last year. Not looking much better.
I think if you're talking about sparks, a little bright sides of the team, I'd say obviously history, but they got a decent forward out there. What is it? Brandon Huntley Hatfield. He's close to averaging a double-double. Nothing spectacular. I think he's 9-9. He's averaging like half a turnover a game, so not terrible there. Half a block, but he's not doing too bad. But he's almost a double-double. That's a pretty big spot. But that's really the only.
Somebody's got to score.
The leaders right now, Sky Clark, they have him 13th out of Louisville. So maybe those
points
two
per
guys
game?
You got to keep an eye. Yeah, he is currently averaging 15. So.
Yeah, so that's Louisville. So we're all agreeing. Bottom.
Nothing positive for me from them. If you're a Louisville fan, just hang on until they get rid of the whole coaching staff, and maybe you can get somebody who can recruit. But recruiting used to be one of their big calling cards, and now it's like it's bad. They're losing recruits, transfers. I mean, it's rough. It's rough out here for these Louisville fans.
So what I'm hearing is, if you're Louisville, you brag about the court, you brag about history.
Court,
all right.
Yeah, they got a title.
They got a title. That's true. So keep moving on. Number 14 for me. This is the change. This is what changed. I got Notre Dame at number 14.
Yeah, me too. I've got them there.
I do not.
Did you move them up? I guess you moved them up because of their win against Virginia.
Absolutely. You win by 20. I know it was at home, but you win by 20 against Virginia.
Yeah.
You got to move up a little bit. I literally moved them up after that game.
I get it. I get it. I want to see where Anthony's has them. How far did he move them up?
I have them at 13.
Okay. So not crazy.
Yeah, it's just one.
Still not a lot of faith.
If you just said like 8 or 9, might have been kicked off the episode right now.
We were actually talking about before this. We were talking about how they had lost to the Citadel Many of the ACC schools have beat them, and they found a way not to. Lost to Western Carolina.
Hey,
Got
them
destroyed
Catamounts.
by Miami. I mean, yeah, things
If
aren't
you-
looking too promising in Notre Dame either.
If you look at some of their team statistics, they actually are a pretty good defensive team. They're the third ranking defensive team in the ACC, but they're dead last in offense. And I think that as good as your defense can kind of carry you in some games, and actually in games against teams like Virginia, it's not as rough being a bad offensive team because you get a chance to really slow the game down, slow your possessions down. But having the last place offense is not a good way to win anything. So even though they have a decent defending team, I don't think they're headed anywhere positive.
Yes, I mean stats. They're shooting the worst field goal percentage, the worst 3-point percentage, bottom half and free throw percentage. Yeah, they're not looking great.
That's how you get the worst offense.
Yep. I just wanted to give a little detail.
yeah.
But
exactly.
I agree. So we're pretty much agreeing so far. Moving on, 13. I have the FSU. I got the Seminoles.
Yeah,
So
I've got that too.
14.
Okay, so you had them. I've got them at 13 too.
We got that bottom tier. We're agreeing on the bottom
Our
tier.
rankings are lining right up, John.
Oh yeah,
right up.
What's y'all's opinion on the Seminoles? Let's go up through it.
They did have a big win earlier. They beat 18 Colorado at the time, so that was, I guess, a positive for them. But
so overtime win, right?
I believe it was. Yeah.
Yeah, I think overall statistics, they're like bottom half offensively and defensively. They give up a ton of threes. I think I don't know exactly what number they are, but they're top probably 3 in opponent 3-point percentage. And they're a horrible free throw shooting team, which can kill you in close games and can just kill your whole season if you're bad enough. But yeah, that's all I got for them.
They're also leading ACC in turnovers per game, almost 16 turnovers a game.
Man,
tough.
Yeah, they can't shoot, giving up a lot of threes, and can't hold on to the ball. That's not a winning formula at all. So I agree. Bottom 3 sounds like we all agree on the bottom 3. A little different order, but
slightly different placement. But Louisville, Notre Dame, Florida State.
I'd imagine we're probably going to keep that up. 12, I have Georgia Tech.
Agreed. I have them in 12 as well.
So I'm off on this one. I've got Virginia Tech there. But
really?
Yeah. But we can talk about Georgia Tech.
All right, Georgia Tech. Let's talk about it.
They beat Duke.
They did. That
was a
part of my
win for them.
Yeah, huge win for them and their 5 fans. But yeah, I just think I did actually bump them up in my rankings partly because of that win. Just ability to beat a great team like that, even barring injury and things. I think that gave them a little more credibility in my head, but I don't horribly disagree with you guys' placement here. They're a really good rebounding team if you look at their stats, but other than that, they're really not that much good at anything else. I think they gave Duke problems with that because one of Duke's problems this year has been rebounding to some degree, and that just piled on itself in that game, and I think they were able to come out with a win in large part because of that. But other than the rebounding, I don't see too much positive with this group.
I think defensively, if you look at stats, defense, they're holding people to not great field goal percentage, 3-point percentage. Kim Palm does a great thing where he goes through and adds like the luck factor.
Yeah,
I'd imagine Georgia Tech's probably pretty high in the luck factor. They get some lucky misses from their teams, lucky misses from their opponents. But yeah, they beat Duke, which is cool. But I don't know. They lost to Georgia by like 14, 15 points. They lost to UMass Lowell, lost to Cincinnati. They got some ugly losses.
Yeah. It feels like one of those, or for me as a Duke fan, it feels like one of those end of the year we'll look back and be like, man, we lost to Georgia Tech earlier in the year. And, when they're like 3-10 or whatever.
Is that going to be quad 4 loss?
Yeah, I don't know. With that, you never know with
stupid system.
Stupid system. You never know with that system what that will do. I do think good wins trump bad losses, but at least in the committee's eyes. But yeah,
Clemson should know that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank, appreciate that.
On the bubble last year, you know.
They were on the
Always
bubble.
We could win the ACC regular championship and we'll be on the bubble. I'll just throw that out there. But no, Georgia Tech, back to them. Duke isn't their only top 25 win though. They beat Mississippi State at home. So that was I think they were 21 at the time. So that was a good game. I don't think it was that close either. I only look. Yeah, 8-point game. Wasn't terrible. So yeah, Georgia Tech coming there. Where'd you say you had him, Michael?
I've got them 2 spots above this actually. So what are we on now?
12.
We're on 12th. So I've got them at 10th, I guess. But,
okay.
But yeah, I just think those 2 games can show you that they can win big games, and to me, that's enough to bump them above the teams I have below them. But
gotcha.
You guys must think pretty highly of the ACC this year if you've got them down there at the bottom. There could be some good teams then.
I think ACC is going to be we're bounce back. Low year last year. I think Michael, we've talked about this a lot. Last year was low for the ACC, and
it's rough.
I think this year's a bounce back. I don't think we're all the way back.
Rough for the whole league.
We're all the way. Yeah,
that rough for the top tier teams, but yeah.
Yes, yeah. ACC in general.
Other than Carolina, worst year ever. They had the worst year ever.
That's not surprising you brought that up. Not on Carolina as a Duke fan. Starting early, but hey, we'll get there in a second. Number 11. I got Boston College there.
Yeah, I've got that too.
I do not.
I'm seeing a head shake.
I have Pittsburgh at 11.
Ooh,
big jump.
I got Pitt a couple spots higher.
I got Pitt a lot of spots higher.
But again, we'll stick with Boston College. I have them at 10, so just a spot different.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, what are we thinking on them?
I don't think they had any big wins, if I remember looking correctly.
My notes for Boston College just says middle of the road. That's pretty much it. Every stat in the ACC you look at, they're kind of like either bottom or middle. I don't have anything really notable on them.
I do have a note. They lost NC State already this year, so there's that note.
That's their biggest game we've had.
I was looking at their schedule. They don't have any big wins, but they've lost to Colorado State, Loyola Chicago.
Hey, they beat
one
Harvard.
ACC game. Harvard, sure.
No, I agree. I don't have much to say about them. I think they're not terrible. Average stats, I think their leading scorer is averaging like 18. What is it? Post. I like him because he's a post man. His name's Post. Yeah.
Nice.
Putting up 18. But yeah, I agree. I think they're 9-3 right now and not a tough non-con schedule at all. I think 9-2.
It could end up hurting them if they have a chance at making the tournament at the end.
Oh yeah, Clemson would know.
Which is what all these ACC teams need to realize is like everybody keeps scheduling all these softies for non-conference, and then it's like you're shaking your head at the end of the year when you don't make, like Clemson, which I think they should have got in last year, but like you're shaking your head at the end of the year, but part of the reason is because of the lack of non-conference people. You got to schedule tough games. The committee likes that.
I agree. Clemson learned. We'll get there, but we had a great non-tron schedule this year, so we'll get there though. Yeah, so all right, Boston College falling there. It was great. It was great for Clemson. Are you kidding? Look at who we're playing last year.
Yeah, you're right. Yes.
So that was Boston College at 11. We're moving into the top 10. Top 10. I have right here Syracuse.
Yeah, got them.
I had them at 9.
All right, so we're all pretty similar so far.
In the same range here.
Yeah. Who wants to open us up on Syracuse?
I'll say. Go ahead, Anthony. You got it. You got it.
I'd say I was looking at their most recent games, and it's weird compared to past years. It seems like they're averaging a lot more points than back when Boeheim was there. But I did see their key losses that they've already had is Tennessee and Gonzaga. A couple of we're talking about having a good
not horrible losses. Yeah.
Well, like playing good teams, but if they could just pull one of those out, it might help them going down the line, which it doesn't seem like they're able to do at this point. But again, like the other teams we've talked about, kind of middle of the pack.
Yep. Yeah, the one thing I like about them is they have who I would consider like a star player. I really like the Mintz kid. I think he is, and that I think is enough for me to separate them from the teams below. Is that I do think they have a player who, I don't have him in my ACC Player of the Year convo, but he's a guy who could be there, and I think that alone it sets them up enough to succeed any more than the teams below them.
This year, I have the most respect for Syracuse that I've ever had, and the only reason is this: Joe Girard III. Really appreciating him, loving that. Yep. So my respect is coming from a player they lost. They are running. I'd like to see them running man for the first time in
Crazy.
How long? Yeah, it's weird. I feel
45 years.
Yeah, it's weird.
Boeheim was
weird.
at Syracuse longer than K was at Duke. If that's hard to believe.
That's crazy. That's crazy. That's like I mean, it was to the point where Joe Girard, great player, but when he came to us, only question most people have. We knew he could score. We knew he could facilitate. Could he play man defense? And first couple games, you could see that it was rusty because Syracuse doesn't do that. But yeah, I think this year they're top 10, but they're definitely towards the top of that top 10.
Yeah. But if I was a Syracuse fan, I'd be optimistic.
Oh, for sure.
I kind of like how they've played.
I loved it.
I was a Boeheim fan, so I kind of liked. Yeah, as a Syracuse fan, you would have been happy to have that coach, but bummed to see him leave. But I'm actually optimistic on Syracuse for the future. Not as much this year, but yeah,
absolutely. You're in a good spot. I love Boeheim. Don't want to say anything negative, but it was definitely time for them to find what's next. What's the next direction? What's the new direction? So I think it was great they got that. Awesome. Moving on, number 9. I believe one of y'all have already said this team, but I have number 9, Virginia Tech.
Yeah, I had them way down.
I actually have them up. So
3 spots lower.
All right. Where you got them at? We'll go ahead and
I have them at 7.
All right. So look, 7, 9, and 12. Little range. Let's talk about Virginia Tech. What makes you low? What makes you high on them?
Well, so for me, I actually did write a note on them that of my teams in that bottom tier, I do think they're ones that could surprise me personally because they're a great defending team. If you look at their stats, they're in the upper echelon of ACC defending team. And unlike how it is with Notre Dame, they actually have I think they might have the number 9 offense or something. So not horrible stats on offense. That's a pretty good range of where you could actually see some return from your defense being so good you're actually able to win games. But I still don't see anything super great from them. I think another part of why I had them down, I don't see like a great star player on their roster, which for me is really important to have a go-to guy who you can go to. I didn't see that for Virginia Tech, and I think that I think they have a great defense and that they could make a jump, but I just didn't see it from them, especially when I look at the teams above them, like Syracuse.
Yeah, mine was very similar. I think looking at their team, they got 3 players in double-digit scoring. But when you look at rebounding, which college basketball rebounding obviously is huge, they have one person that's averaging, or they have 2 people averaging over 5 rebounds a game, and one is 5.3. Their leading rebounder is 7 and 7. After those 2, it's like all 4s, 3s, 1. They struggle rebounding. They struggle getting the ball off of shots. Don't shoot the ball too hot. They're middle of the road. Yeah, that's what worried me about it. I mean, their center, what is it, Kidd? He's playing real well. He's 16 points a game, but again,
top
7
10
rebounds
right now, I believe.
Yeah, he's definitely a good scorer, but the board, the defense, the paint play post game really worries me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I still just don't see enough from them on offense to really make a big buzz. And maybe my list is reflective of this, but I just think to succeed at any level in basketball, college basketball, NBA, you have to be able to score in bunches, and I don't see it from them. I've seen enough really good defensive teams finally crack, and when they need to score, they can't. I think Tech's going to be in that position a lot this year.
Anthony, what made you high on them?
I think it's just a gut feeling because I'm looking at their schedule. I mean, they've had chances to beat teams and they haven't. I mean, they played at the time FAU, which was 19. They lost to them. I believe they lost to Wake already. Is that right?
I think they did. I can pull it up.
They got beat really bad by Auburn in the SEC Challenge.
Yeah, Auburn. Yeah.
It was a good team.
I mean, they don't really have a lot. Maybe just like I said, maybe it's gut feeling, but
hey, never discredit the old gut.
Yeah.
Yeah, they lost by Wake.
Not wrong. There's not a lot.
Yeah.
Going
I do really like. One thing that I do like about Tech is their home court advantage. I think is really strong.
Oh,
I've
for
been to
sure.
that
Oh, yeah.
arena a couple times, and it is crazy.
That's all sports. Football, huge.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Virginia Tech fans, nothing but respect for them. But that's something that works in their favor. They can pull
Probably be
some
able to
really
pull,
big.
a couple upsets. At home.
Yeah. I could see them beating a top tier team that comes to Castle, but that's something I like about them. So I don't know. I wrote them as like of my bottom tier teams. They're the ones that I think could sneak up the highest from teams I have ranked the lowest. But overall, I just don't see a lot from them.
Yeah.
They looking at their schedule, they lost to Wake pretty big, 23 points. Lost to them New Year's Eve. They really looking at their schedule,
Eve.
surprising. Yeah, that was the 30th. Eve.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. But no, looking at their schedule, they don't have a lot of close games. They had a close one to South Carolina and they lost. Appreciate it. Terrible. But then the closest outside of that is what, a 7-point game where they beat Boise State. I think that's it. Other than that, it's like double digits. Not a lot of close games. So yeah, I agree. I think middle of the road, decent spot for them, 9. But all right, so we're gonna go 8. 8 moving on. Wake Forest is who I have at the 8 spot. I got Wake at 8.
I have Wake at 5.
All right.
I have
Jumping a little.
I've actually got
ahead,
Wake higher. I've actually got Pitt at 8.
Okay. So let's talk about Wake. Both y'all have Wake high. Where do you have Wake at, Michael?
I have Wake really high. I have Wake. Let me see one. I have Wake finishing 5th. I think, is that what Anthony said?
Yeah, both y'all got them at 5.
I think I actually really like Wake this year. I think they are sneaky good, and I think the reason is because of their they have 2 really, really good guards in my mind, and I think that once again maybe this leans into how I view the game, but those 2 guards can go crazy and score in bunches. Their leading guard, I think his name is Salas, something Salas. Yeah. He's crazy. He's shooting almost 49% as a guard, which is just nuts to be hitting at that high of a clip. I think he's averaging like 18 something per game. And I love teams with really good guards that can score a lot. And I think Wake can do that. And that gives them the ability to be in any game versus anybody. I actually really like this Wake team, and it wouldn't even surprise me if they finish above maybe 1 or 2 of the teams I have above them.
I like Wake. I think you look at their offense, you got them. I think they're top 4 in field goal percentage, 3-point percent, and free throw. So they can shoot the ball, they can make the ball. They're shooting, I think, 80% from the foul line. They play the ball well. I'll be honest, I have my 6, 7, 8 spot. I switched those 3. They were interchangeable for me. I switched them back and forth. So
that's going to be real close.
If you tear them off, those 3 were neck and neck, and we'll get to those in a second. But I think Wake, like you said, they got a couple good opponents. I don't know. It could be history. Historically, they're not a great team. I mean, they got their years where they've had a good run, but I just very middle of the road
tournament.
They did.
What was
something
it?
Clemson can't say.
Last year, right?
Was that last year?
Mm-hmm. Right. I think, right? I might be wrong. I could be wrong.
But they have won it, and that's something Clemson can't say. So
more recently.
Yeah.
I will say about Wake is if you go back and look at the earlier games, they lost to teams like Georgia, Utah, and LSU. But recently, their 7-game win streak, and if you go back and look at the Virginia Tech game, they won by 23. So
big game.
Over time, you start getting better gelling with your team, and I think that Wake they're gelling pretty well together. That's why I have them ranked so high.
That's fair. So, any final thoughts on Wake?
No, not really.
All right.
I think they'll be an NCAA team at the end of the year.
Me too.
Okay.
Yep.
I think they'll miss it. I think they'll be maybe last 4 out, Nets 4 out. I think they'll be there. I think they'll miss a tight one.
I'll say this. I think they're there, and I think they make a run. I'll say that right now. I think they are in maybe the
mark it down.
Yeah. Mark it down. I don't know. They're one of those teams. If I'm filling out my bracket, I can easily see myself slipping them all the way to the Sweet 16.
All right. Okay. Big hype on Wake. I got them missing.
I was wrong about that ACC champ, by the way. It was Virginia Tech who I was thinking about. It wasn't them.
Gotcha. Have they won one?
Correction to myself.
I'll mark that down.
Yeah, mark it down as the wrong. I don't know. I don't have the full
Excuse
list.
me. Mark that. I'm just kidding.
I don't have the full list here. Yeah, mark it, please.
But yeah, so sweet Wake. So that sounds like so far that's our biggest disagreement. Y'all are pretty high
I'm
on.
high on
think
Wake.
they'll be in tournament. I think
High
they'll
on
be
Wake.
Nets for one of the last 8 teams to miss it. So we'll see how that goes. We'll see how that turns out.
What are we at here? 7.
So that's 7. Before we jump into 7, I think we're going to go to a quick break right here, hear from our ads, hear from our sponsors, and we'll be right back to finish off the list. Awesome. And we are back. Thanks so much for joining us. We're going to jump right back into this list. So, Michael Anthony, Michael, you want to kick us off at number 7? Who you got at your 7th spot?
Number 7, I've got NC State.
All right. I've got them close to that. I've got them 1 spot down at 6.
I do as well. I have them at 6 as well.
All right. Let's hear about it. Anthony, that's your team. That's your pride and joy.
About them, Anthony.
Inform us.
So let's see. Keep going back to these early games, and we definitely had some missed opportunities. I don't know if y'all watched the BYU game, but we had our coach got kicked out and our whole bench for jumping on the court. That was one of the games we should have been able to pull out. Gave a run against Tennessee, lost by 9. Haven't really played any huge teams yet. Beat Vandy, but that's Vandy, so there's that. But I think they have a lot of more depth than they have in recent years. I think we have 9 players that I'd feel confident on the floor. Right now, our leading scorer is DJ Horn, transferred from Arizona State. He's averaging 15. We don't have, like Michael keeps saying, somebody that stands out. Our team is pretty balanced out. We got DJ Burns that returned. Overall, we only had 2 returners, though, which kind of stinks. I mean, we have a lot of transfers.
You had that trade with Clemson offseason.
We did. We have Ben Meadowbrooks still coming off the bench for us like he was y'all. But he's upped his points per game. He has a new career high against Ole Miss, averaging 2 more rebounds. I will say one player that does not get a lot of time that I'd like to see is MJ Rice, transferred from Kansas, not averaging a lot of minutes. We only have 1 true freshman, Dennis Parker Jr.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, it's a very experienced team. We have people like Michael O'Connell, reminds me of y'all's point guard at Clemson. Can
Chase
score
Hunter?
the ball. No.
Joe Girard.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yes. He's leading our team in assists. Came from Stanford. It's just an older team. Came from a bunch of different schools. I think they need time to gel together. I think that's what the biggest struggle is right now. But I think it'll be interesting to watch them once we get into ACC play. I know we have Notre Dame coming up and Virginia, and then we have North Carolina. So that will be a fun one to see where we really stand.
Yep.
Yeah. I think NC State, like I said, I got them at 6. I'm a little bit higher on them. I think they were a tournament team last year. In my opinion, I think Clemson and NC State last year should have been together, either both in, both out. That's but that's not how it happened. That's why
they did it. They were
how many games was it? How many games did Clemson and NC State play against each other last year?
I believe just once.
Yeah.
And I think Clemson won. Did y'all win or did we win?
No, it wasn't just once, was it?
I thought we split it. No. Hold on. We played 3 times last year.
I'm setting you up.
We played 3 times last year.
How many times
we won all 3?
Yeah, I'm trying to set you up here.
I appreciate it.
However,
let's talk about this. No,
the record
won. My turn. Hold on. I'm gonna mute you.
I'm setting
y'all were
Anthony.
23 and.
Can I mute him? Yep. Let's mute him. So real quick, we
Did you
blew
just mute
them
him?
out.
Oh no! It was
I'm
an
sorry.
abuse of host privilege.
Here we go. I'm sorry. My bad. Go ahead. I'll let you go first.
No, you're good. I'm gonna let the host go ahead.
We blew them out. I mean, we won 2 of those
they
by
did.
20. I think one was 23, one was 18.
Yeah,
Very
ACC
similar.
tournament.
We beat them there. I will say props to the NC State from last year. They had a stronger strength of schedule. I think that's what got them in. non-con. Their schedule was a little bit tougher than ours. They had less quad 4 losses. I think we had 2 quad 4 losses last year, something like that.
And if you look at your schedule this year, y'all have learned from that.
Absolutely. So we could
NC State last year destroyed Duke in Raleigh, and it was one of the worst experiences I've ever had as a basketball fan, because it was like I think they started the game, like it took like 5 minutes for Duke to score 3 points, and like NC State had like 25 already. It was one of those. It was just
we don't have that team no more.
No. No. Listen,
very different team.
Duke never plays well in Raleigh, so I fully anticipate some tough competition from the pack. But yeah, I thought it was last year's NC State team was really fun to watch at times.
Especially those Clemson games.
At times, yes.
Yeah, at times when it was good for them last year, it was great. But,
for sure.
But this is an extremely different team, and that's what I agree with you, Anthony. You can tell they're really experienced. Because they don't turn the ball over like at all. They're really good at not turning the ball over.
Really good at forcing turnovers, which is what Keats prides himself on. So.
Yeah, well, and I think that's a reason why maybe they haven't. I guess other than BYU, have they lost a game where you're really shaking your head thinking like we should have won that one based off of the roster? I mean, probably not. You would probably say Tennessee has a more talented roster than NC State does.
Yeah.
But I think that's a reason. I don't think they'll have too many games where they get upset by nobodies, because they play really smart. They don't turn the ball over. Good at forcing turnovers. But you hit the nail on the head. I don't think they don't have near a player of Shaquavion Smith or Joyner, or I just think,
or anybody that we've had in the past.
Yeah, they don't have that guy that's just a stud and is able to make really tough shots, and that hurts them this year. And for a team like NC State, who isn't necessarily like a top recruiting team, when you only return a couple guys, that's going to hurt them when that happens. It probably doesn't happen as much year to year, but when it does, it really stings.
That's the thing with the teams in the past is, we've had you go back and you can go all the way back to we've had Trevor Lacey. We've always had like one good person that's been able to carry the team. And
Scott Wood,
I think they relied on Morcell this year to be that guy, which he's still not. He's not that guy.
What's the Beverly? Braxton Beverly.
Baxter, yeah.
That was it.
Dennis Smith Jr.
Well.
Yeah. Him, Scott Wood.
They've always had that like one stud that will like go play in the NBA or something, but I don't think they definitely don't have that this year. Although DJ Burns is one of the most fun players to watch in college basketball.
I love watching DJ Burns. He as a big man myself, he gives me a little bit of excitement for pickup ball heroes. That's who I model my game.
He plays like
he's got that mid range. You got to watch out for that.
He does. I think that's y'all already talked about it. My big things with NC State, I feel like every sport, they always played Clemson really well. Beat us in football a couple times recently. Basketball last year was a different story, but usually basketball, very close games. Anthony, we've went to countless of those games, and we've probably seen half and half of who's won so many games. We've been to Raleigh, we've been to Clemson. So they always play well. They always are good. I think this year, if you have a rebuilding
year against Clemson,
it's
twice against Duke.
It's Clemson games in Clemson this year.
I don't know. I know we at least go to Raleigh, but I think it's only once because we played twice last year. Typically it flips, doesn't it? I'd have to look at the schedule. I know we at least go to Raleigh.
Yeah, I think the turnovers are a huge bright spot for you. I think you're averaging 5 more forced turnovers than you're giving it away, which is huge.
And I think that's been a thing with Coach Keats is that he's prided on that, and we've always had the team, but this one's actually stepped up and I believe gets more turnovers than years past. So
yeah, I think y'all have the second biggest differential in turnovers in the ACC. First is Virginia, which is surprising, but yeah. So
tournament team or no?
I think they could be. I want to see them in ACC play and see what they actually are made of. But
if you're talking to an NC State fan
impressed me
and they
too much.
Say they could
I
be,
had high expectations.
No.
I hope they do for you for Anthony. I hope they make it for Ben Middlebrook.
I think if we do, it's not gonna. I think it's gonna be like a 12 seed or something. It's not gonna be high.
If they win, I think it'll be because they like stack wins on lower quality opponents. I don't see them pulling.
They're gonna be the AQ from the ACC.
I hope so.
No, I'm just kidding. I don't think. I personally, I think they're a bubble team. I don't think they're out of it. I think they'll be a bubble team. I have them ahead of Wake, and y'all have Wake pretty high. So there's my opinion on that.
I think Wake's a lot better, but that's just me.
I wouldn't say a lot.
No offense. No offense.
I also had them high ranked.
Yeah, no disrespect. But
final thoughts on NC State, Anthony?
Final thoughts is again looking forward to ACC play and see what we're made of. I think we can make the tournament though.
Nice.
Michael.
That's fine. I'm not. I'd love for them to make the tournament. I'll root for every ACC tournament to make the tournament. Every ACC team to make the tournament. Other than Carolina.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
That'd be sweet.
I hope they all get in.
64 teams, 15 of them are ACC.
No. I'm actually awesome. Not as low on. I know like Duke and NC State, obviously in-state rivalry, but I'm not as haterish on NC State as a lot of people are. I moderately root for them when they're not playing Duke. So
I agree with you on that. I pull for Duke way more than the Tar Heels.
Yeah.
There is a shared disdain between these two for the Tar Heels.
Shared disdain.
Yeah. So, which not surprising. You got the Tar Heel Road rivalry, but
all right. So, do.
Yeah.
Not as much, but
UNC switch grew up around a bunch of UNC fans. We'll get there, but so y'all had NC State at y'all had both at 6. Is that correct?
Yes.
I had at 7.
He had 7. That's right. I had him at 6. Yes. Us two at 6.
What are we on now?
7. So I'm going back to 7. My 7 spot was Virginia. So I had Virginia at my 7, which might be lower than some people have. It might be a little bit different than what y'all got.
I have them at
Virginia.
8.
Okay. 8. That's right.
Yep,
Man, I've got them at 6, and that's the highest.
Yeah, Virginia, I'm telling Tony Bennett getting some disrespect on the Tiger Wire.
I know. I was putting them at 6, and like, man, I'm gonna get roasted. And Anthony's got them at 8.
Yeah,
6, 7, 8. Those are the 3 teams, by the way, that I said were back and forth. Wake, Virginia, NC State. Those 3 were the interchangeable for me.
We haven't mentioned Pitt yet, have we? Have we talked about Pitt?
Yeah.
No, we have not. We've talked about where they're at, but we haven't gone through a team analysis yet.
I've got them.
We haven't reached Pitt for me yet.
I know, yeah. You got them high. But so Virginia, we're talking about Virginia?
We're talking about Virginia.
Man, big topic for this year. They were probably the second or third. If you would have wanted to bet on who would have won, they would have been probably second or third odds. Maybe 4, but man, hasn't gone well for them.
So, John, you can speak. They got destroyed by Memphis. Y'all played Memphis already.
And we should have won that game.
20.
They got wrecked by Memphis.
Yeah,
it was really bad.
Gosh, and Memphis is a good team. They're a good team.
Yeah, they're good.
Are they still top 25?
Yeah, I think they are. I think they're one spot above Clemson. No, I don't know the latest. I haven't looked at the latest rankings for them today.
Yeah,
Clemson's up to 16. But
I'll search it up while you guys are talking.
I think
they got destroyed by Wisconsin as well.
They did. They also lost to Notre Dame.
Yeah, they lost to Notre Dame.
We have Notre Dame at the bottom.
Yeah, Notre Dame huge. They lost by 22 to Notre Dame.
Memphis is ranked 15.
Okay.
Yeah, see, one spot different from Clemson. Yeah.
Yep, one spot up.
They did beat Texas A&M. I'll give them that, I guess. They were 14th at the time.
Big win. Hey, they beat North Carolina Central. Big win.
Yeah, that.
And Michael, you can probably speak to this. I don't see anybody from their team that stands out though scoring wise.
I mean, you're hitting the nail on the head for me. I think what Virginia has set them apart. Obviously, Tony Bennett is a good coach. I'm not gonna. I actually like Tony Bennett. I don't love watching their games because they're just so boring. Golly, watching Virginia games are like a slog. But the difference between typical Virginia teams and this year's a huge part of it is that they are awful at a few distinct categories. They're the worst team in the ACC at shooting free throws. They shoot 64% as a team, which especially when you play slow, where every possession is a huge deal, you have to hit free throws because you're going to get fouled in those types of games. They're horrible from the free throw line. They leave a ton of points there. They're also dead last in rebounding, which again, but it makes it worse the fact that they're like not a lot of possessions in their game. So if a team gets an offensive board on them or something, or if they're not able to get any offensive rebounds, it crushes them even more than it would an average team. And once again, they don't have like a huge star. Reese Beekman, I think, is a great player, but he doesn't have the scoring prowess or not as good of a playmaking prowess as like a Kihei Clark did last year to get him over the hump. So I don't see a lot of good things happening for them. But I've got them at 6. You guys have them lower.
Yeah, I got them at 7. My biggest things are what y'all kind of already said. Scoring, they don't really have a lot that is a big threat. They got 2 people in double digits. Reese Beekman, 13. McKinley, they got at 10 points. My biggest 2 things about Virginia, the positive I see from them is they have we already mentioned it. They got the biggest turnover differential. So they're disciplined. They don't turn over the ball. I think they're almost plus 6 in turnover.
They should
Absolutely.
have that.
You're Tony Bennett. You've got to have that. Put some respect on his name. But I think my biggest hurting about him, and I already mentioned this about someone else as well, but rebounding, they struggle. Their largest rebounding is like 6.7. No one else above that is averaging more than 3.8. You're telling me you don't have 2 people on your team that are pulling down 5 boards a game? You're not going to win games. You can't last. I want to say that if they made the tournament, they could make a run because you got Tony Bennett and his experience and no, they couldn't. Not at all.
They don't make a run when they have a good team.
Yeah.
Other than 1 year, they have failed way short of their goal. Yeah.
Yeah, I think they're hurting. Turnovers, their bright spot. Everything else is lower. So that's why I got them at 7.
And I agree. That's why I have them at 8. I mean, just all those things. I mean, they don't score a lot. They're not doing the best in the categories. I don't see it being a normal Virginia team.
Yeah.
You guys see Tony Bennett still being at Virginia a long time? You think this is the beginning of their decline, or you think this is just an off year where they didn't get a lot of recruits?
I think Tony Bennett leaves I think there's 3 outcomes that Virginia could happen. I think 1, they could turn it around and get back to contending for titles. 2, stay middle of the road, or 3, stay at the bottom. I think the only way he stays is if they stay in the middle for a couple years. I think if they have another year or 2 where they're really bad, or where they get to their bad and stay down, he's gone. I think if they make a run,
fired or leave or retire,
I think he leaves. Yeah,
I don't think they'll fire him.
No, I don't
think it'll be like one of the you need to go.
It'll be a mutual decision.
I actually think he might retire early. Maybe pull like a Jay Wright. I think he is kind of like an old style college basketball coach that, really disciplined, values oriented. And I think this whole transfer portal thing and NIL has bothered him. And I don't think a lot of the like old basketball coaches you listen to now talk about how much they would hate coaching in the modern era because you got to recruit your own players to come back. I think Tony Bennett aligns with those guys. And I don't know if things keep going bad, I think he could just say, you know what, I'm finished. I've done what I need to do and call it. But
style-wise, you know who Tony Bennett reminds me a lot of?
Who?
Dabo Sweeney.
Yeah.
Honestly,
cross sport. Give it to me.
I think you both got great coaches. They both are very respectful. Your hometown teams, their teams, they're obviously going to say the greatest coach of all time. Outside of that, people are going to put them in top 10, top 5.
What? Great. All time?
Yeah.
No, nobody's saying Tony Bennett's a top 5 all-time coach.
I wouldn't put him on 5.
I think Virginia fans are putting
maybe if we talk
for
to
sure.
We need to get a Virginia.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying their hometown teams.
Brad in the top 5 too, right?
He would, yeah.
We'll get there.
Is Dabo the best coach
anyway,
of all
I'm
time?
getting to it. I think Dabo's up there. He's not the best, but he's up there. Like I said, he's top 5. I think anyway. Both great coaches. Respect on their names across the sport, across college. Like you said, values, they push a team disciplined on and off. They both talk about how they're there not to just make players, but to make young men, to grow them on and off the court, on and off the field. And they both aren't the best at recruiting or when it comes to transfers. They're great recruiters, but when it comes to transferring and NIL and this new age that's entering college sports, neither one of them are very passionate or talented or not talented, but passionate and have enthusiasm about it. Both have been very not very.
I would even
vocal,
say
both have been
Dabo
vocal.
is better at that than Bennett is.
And that's huge.
And exactly, that's what I'm saying.
Huge statement.
Dabo's not huge on it. I think he's even bigger on it than Bennett is, though.
Yeah. So I think they're, in my mind, they're comparable. I think
I get what I thought you meant, like stylistically, and I was like, does Clemson play particularly slow football? But mannerisms and like character, I could see that. Yeah,
off-field
program,
coaching.
Yeah, program style. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah. No, yeah, they're both very different. But yeah, so that's where Virginia. Any final thoughts on them?
I don't think they're going to be as good as they have been.
Yeah,
that's why I have them lower.
I don't think they're a tournament team.
Oh,
I don't think they
tournament team, Anthony.
I don't think so.
Man,
NIT?
It's close for me. It's closer for me than you guys, I think. But just because I think they still just beat up on bad teams and they'll have enough wins, but it's close. I don't know.
Enough lower level ACC that you can rack up wins.
So let me ask you this: we're talking about Tony Bennett's character. Is Tony Bennett the kind of coach that would decline an NIT invite?
I think they'd go to the NIT.
Yeah,
they wouldn't play UNC. Just forget about it.
No.
All right.
No.
Well, we are officially top 5, right?
Are we?
I'm all messed up now. So you tell me.
Yeah, we're on the top 5 of mine.
We're
on top 5 of mine. So my 5, y'all have already taught them. I'm higher on them than y'all are. I got Pitt at number 5.
There we go.
I got a lot of faith.
I have them low, so I'd like to know what you see in them.
I've got them at 8.
Okay, where do you have them, Anthony?
I had them at 11.
All right, go ahead and
11.
talk through them. Y'all talk about why y'all have them so low.
That's got to be our biggest difference so far.
That's
5
6
to
spot
11
difference. Yeah, talk why you got them low.
Hang on, let me pull something up. Y'all go first.
Okay, yeah, I could talk about why I like Pitt. I do have them lower than State and Virginia and my other teams. I really like Jeff Capel as a coach. He's Duke guy. Always root for the Duke guys.
Coach of the year last year, right?
Yep. He was. Especially people were talking about it. Well, maybe I don't know. People were talking about him getting fired, and then he wins Coach of the Year. I like his players. I like the recruits he brings in. I have a bigger trust in them to win a big game. What was their SEC game? I think they lost, but
they lost to Missouri.
That's right. Missouri's not a horrible team, though. I just trust Pitt's ability to compete at the highest level with the top tier teams, which is something I can't say for the teams below them, but I do think their consistency issues are not going to be, I think NC State and Virginia are more consistent teams than Pitt are, which is who I have right above them. But I don't hate the Pitt pick. I really like Capel, and they were able to make some noise in the tournament last year.
I think I got them high for a couple reasons. I think, one, they're trending up in all sports. You see Pittsburgh football has done better recently, kind of. But they've done better recently. You see Kenny Pickett, huge. Yeah, if losing the starting spot, but not really got hurt. We'll see if he starts next year. But anyway, I think I won Coach of the Year last year. I agree. I'm a big fan of Jeff. I think he's a great coach. I think he's smart. He seems like he actually cares about it. He's
fired up. He is fired up.
And I think he's modern age enough where this NIL, this recruiting, this transfers, I think he's going to – Pittsburgh's got – they've got the money. They've got facilities. They're a Power 5 conference. I think they're going to pull some big transfers under him. Plus, this year's team, they got – what's their forward's name? He's like 19 points a game right now.
Henson.
Yeah, tearing it up. Great player.
The 2 twins, the 2 big guys.
That's right. Yeah. I think if you go through, you've kind of heard me talk about it a lot, rebounding, they've got 4 players rebounding 5 or more a game. I'm
pretty sure their team's leading the ACC in rebounds.
They're very solid. I think they're averaging like 42.2 rebounds a game. And I like them a lot. I'm big on them. I think they're trending up. I think they've got the coach. I think they're getting the players. That's where I've got them. I've got them high. They're also lower end of turnovers. I think they turn over the ball like 10 times per game, and they force like 15 turnovers a game. No, that's not right. How many they force? They force 12. So plus turnover margin. I think the pieces are there for them to make a good run. So I've got them at 5.
So I will say I like Blake Henson. I mean, he's like their team. He's averaging almost 20 points. So could be up there for Player of the Year. Wouldn't surprise me if he was there at the end of it, at least in the conversation. But I'm one of those people that like to go back and look at so far like your progress that you've had this year, and they beat Oregon State. That's their biggest win. They've had opportunities. They lost to Florida, Clemson, Missouri, Syracuse. Right now, I believe they're last in the ACC. They're 0-2. I just don't see that the miracle team that they had last year. No offense to Caples, but it's just.
Weren't they the 1 seed in the ACC tournament last year?
I have that pulled up. Let's see. They finished 5th in the ACC last year.
What am I talking about? 5th. Yeah.
They were 14-6, tied with Duke, but they went overall.
But then, no.
24-12.
So I think it was a close race or something last year. I don't know why I thought that, but they had a decent year last year. But I don't think
it was very close. Yeah, 1 through 5 was separated by 1 game.
Yeah,
Miami, Virginia, 15-5.
So I think I remember. I
14-6.
think it was something like Pitt was the 1 seed until like a week before, and then they plummeted all the way down to 5. I feel like I
think they had a big game against like Miami late or something like that. That really changed it.
Yeah. All right. I'm not too crazy then. But I don't think they'll be as good as last year's team.
You had mentioned earlier with one of the other teams. I think it was Virginia. Pitt's also struggles with the free throw.
Yeah.
I think they're shooting like 63% on the year. And if they are going to battle with ACC teams and they're going to be close games, they got to figure out a way to knock down some free throws.
Yeah, 66%. Second last only to Virginia.
Yeah.
Which is rough. That's a rough stat.
So, and you know how the ACC goes. You have a lot of games that are close. They come down to the end. And at the end of the day, you got to be able to make free throws. So,
yeah. That's fair. I mean, I think it's one of them spots. ACC, like we've talked about, it's last year's weaker year. I think it's a good conference.
Yeah. I don't hate the pick because of the coach. I like their coach probably more than I like coaches that are above them. So that could vault them up. But I don't see them being near the team they were last year.
Yeah.
I think they're a tournament team. I think they're on the bubble, but I think they can make it in.
I don't even have them that. I don't even know if they'll make NIT.
Yeah, I'd say Pitt's not in the tournament.
Oh, I think they make it. I think they're a bubble team, but I think they make it.
Sweet 16 run?
No, I think no. Nothing like that.
Go ahead and say it. Final 4.
Mark it down. They will lose in the first round.
No, I don't think Pitt. We should go through at the end and say who's a tournament team.
All right, that works.
Or we might have been doing it all along.
I feel like
we'll go through and summarize at the end.
Yeah, okay, all right.
So number 4, top 4. I think we have all 4 of the top 4 teams. I don't think any of my top 4 that I have has been mentioned.
Yep.
None of mine.
Am I incorrect?
Nope.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we're good.
So number 4, I have Miami. U.
Me too.
I got Miami.
We'll do as well.
Okay, let's talk about it.
Yeah, I like great coach. I really like Miami's coach, Larinaga. I think that's how you say his name. I always have trouble. But it's like, yeah. I just wrote down it's a typical Miami team, like really fast, really good offensively, shoot a bunch of threes, make a bunch of threes, and then they have Norchad O'Meara down there in the paint, who is a great player, and I would consider one of the stars of the ACC. So it's hard for me to rank them any lower than that. Just valuing offense the way I think about it, where I think if you're a really strong offensive team, you can beat anybody in the country. And I think, they did get just destroyed by Kentucky. I mean, it was ugly.
22.
Slaughtered.
Yeah. But I honestly,
it was 22 and a 5-point. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that game was more of just Kentucky was just on fire, and there was nobody that was beating them that night. And then I think they lost the next game to who? They lost, I think, their very next game, Kentucky.
So they beat Notre Dame, Long Island right after them, but then they lost to Colorado, 27.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I just think they're a team I can see doing that. Like if the threes don't fall, that can happen. You get beat by 20. But I just think on the flip side, does it surprise any of us if they have a win against Duke or Carolina or Clemson? Like they could beat anybody. So I have faith enough in their coach.
For sure.
Miami's doing good stuff with their program. So I couldn't put them any lower than this. I think I actually had them higher in my preseason rankings. But yeah.
I had
Final
Miami
four
switched.
team last year, right?
Was it last year? Yeah, right.
I believe so.
Yeah.
Or was it Elite Eight? I can't remember.
They made a run.
Big run.
Yeah.
So I think I had Miami and
right, yeah.
I had Miami and my number 3 team, we'll get to a second, switched in my preseason poll. But I think Miami, great team. I'll be honest, I think they might be the most disappointing team so far where I expected them to be outside of Virginia. I really thought they'd be high. I really thought they'd be up there. I thought they were going to – I had them top 2. I had them top 2 or 3. And that Kentucky game really hurt. That Colorado game hurt. They don't really have any big wins. I mean, what's their biggest win? Georgia, maybe?
They beat Notre Dame.
Yeah, 15th ACC. I think Miami, they got the players. They're definitely missing Wong. I mean, you're going to miss the player, ACC Player of the Year. And he was an experienced player. He graduated, right? Or did he? No, he opted out of his last year. I think he had 1 year of eligibility after and turned it down. But he was experienced. You're going to miss that.
See. Next game against who?
Yeah, that's our big ACC opener. Yeah, Wednesday primetime on ESPN.
I think you'll find out a lot about both of those teams then.
I agree. I think that's going to be a very close game. I think it's at Miami. Might give them an edge, but I could see us winning. So we'll get there. But
I can see the team winning, yeah.
They got great scores, too. Anthony, go ahead. What's your thoughts?
I'm looking at it right now. The Omir and Poplar are both almost top 10, averaging 16 and 17 points a game. Yeah. Talk about big scores. You got two guys on the verge of 20 points.
Yeah, Omir's almost double-double, right? He's right on the edge at 10 rebounds.
And that's crazy for a Miami guy. They typically don't have the big guys. They're almost always – the fact that they have a big guy this year, I think, is no pun intended, big for them this year.
Hey, but
and if you look at all the categories, I mean, I think this is a team that could shock people and end up even higher than 4th. Right now, they're leading the ACC 84 points a game, 84.7 because North Carolina is also up there. Field goal percentage, they're shooting 50%. I mean, that's good when you do it for one game, much less 12 games into the season. 3-point percentage, 41%, leading it right there in free throw percentage, which we've talked about is important. And then they're top 5 in rebounding. So I don't see why they can't be that team at the end of it to surprise everybody.
Best offense in the ACC, I think.
Yeah. I think it's close, but yes.
Blair Nega leading the way. Yeah. I mean,
I think they have. I think they probably have the best offense of the ACC without having the best offensive roster.
Okay,
I think there are teams with more talent than them.
I don't think they're second in talent.
Yeah, probably not.
Yeah,
but they still
looking for a third straight year going to at least the Elite Eight. I mean,
they
have the coach to lead.
I will pick them in the tournament to go far. I pick them every year now because they're the perfect like March Madness team. They're like typically, maybe not this year, but typically like really, really guard heavy. They shoot a bunch, they make a bunch, they play really fast and free, quick. Like they're the perfect team for March Madness every year. It seems like
always exciting to watch for sure.
They're going to win a championship one of these days, and
sure.
I'm also predicting them. I think they'll end up with the Boozer twins in a few years, and that'll be an interesting sight to see.
They're going to be good. Mm-hmm. They're already really good, but yeah. So Miami 4. Any final thoughts on them?
Nope.
I'll be surprised by them when it gets down to March.
No. Definitely tournament.
Oh, for sure.
Oh,
yeah,
100%.
No doubt.
Yeah.
No doubt. Number 3.
Oh, we said that too easy. They're going to miss the tournament now. bet on Miami to miss the tournament now.
If they miss, I'm going to post this clip right here.
Yeah. Bet on them now to miss it. Oh, I'm worried now.
All right. Number 3, my moment to shine. I got Clemson at 3.
I got them there too.
I have North Carolina at 3.
All right.
Love that.
We'll get into North Carolina in a minute. Let's talk about some Clemson. I'll start us off. If you are good with it. Yeah. I think, man, this team is special. This team, if you're on the Tiger Wire, you've heard me talk about this. guys, this might be the year. This might be the year Clemson gets a regular season champion.
Don't say that.
I'm telling you, I'm saying it. I'm bold.
Wins the champion, national championship?
The regular season
Natty.
season.
Oh, okay.
Taking the Natty home to
Take
Clemson.
that way down a level.
You never know.
Way down a level. Take it down. No, but I think we're experienced. Like Anthony, I think NC State, you said it. We got one freshman on the team, and he's actually in a red shirt this year. We such good players. We got height, we got length, we've got two special forwards. Fun fact, I don't know if y'all have listened to it. I have predicted that our sophomore Chauncey Wiggins is going to win ACC Player of the Year in 2 years. Put that out first or second episode. I did.
What?
No, 2 years from now. 2 years. I think he's got a lot of progress to go.
I missed that 2 years part, and I was like, that might be the most insane prediction of this show.
No. He's been turning it up this last no. I think he's special. He's like 6'10", but he plays like he's 7 foot, but he can shoot. He can move the ball. He's special. Okay. Yeah, I think we got great guards. We got Joe Girard, who's a top 5 scorer last year in the ACC. You got Chase Hunter, who brings experience. You've got Chase's little brother, Dylan Hunter, who brings experience. Guys, we got an old team. I think next year we're losing like 8 or 9 of our players from this year. Yep. So next year might be a different conversation.
This is it for them. They can build back, but
absolutely.
It'd be better if you had Middlebrooks, but
Nah, I'm good with him. I love him, but I'm glad he's with y'all. We got that trade, Jack Clark. I'm disappointed in him so far. Yeah. I've always been a Jack Clark, Chauncey Wiggins. We've talked about it a lot. If you're a fan of the podcast, you're listening, you've heard me talk about this a lot. This has been one of our more common themes that we've brought up. But Jack Clark, he's actually been hurt for a long time. He had off-season, had a huge injury where he didn't get a lot of minutes, getting a lot of the time playing. Sat the first couple games, came off the bench, and then he started for 2 or 3. Didn't put a lot of big moments. I think his high-scoring game was like 8 points. And then he's been out for like 5 or 6 games, just haven't played. Chauncey Wiggins is really starting to shine in there. But that's my big thing is Clemson's playing really well now. We're 11-1, lost a close game against Memphis that we should have won. Played big games. We won at Alabama. We got some good victories, definitely some quad 1 wins on there.
Alabama is an interesting team this year, and that it'll be interesting to see how that win looks later.
Don't do that to me.
No. I'm just no. Here's why I say that, right? Because I was looking up like KenPom stuff. I'm a big fan of the KenPom. You know where KenPom has Alabama ranked? They're like 5. Like it's like unbelievable how high they are ranked. Unless I'm making that up, but if you look at like their record, yeah. And imagine they're like 150,
220.
Yeah, but some stats will tell you they're still like this awesome team, but they're 8-5. So
I think that game was huge for us. I think that was the game. Watching that was like, all right, this is where it's real. Preseason, I actually predicted us to
5 in
to lose that game. Okay, you said 5, so you had it right.
Yep.
But so I think preseason I actually predicted us to lose that Alabama game, and I was wrong. But I think walking through, I actually just caught on that. I did predict our preseason record, called us being 11-1. Just had the game wrong. Just throwing that out.
So you flipped to Alabama and Memphis.
I did, yeah. I had us winning Memphis, losing Alabama. But anyway, I think we're clicking now, playing really well, and we're still missing 2 of our key players. Alex Hemingway is a huge guard for us. He has a good shot on the 3, but he's disciplined, doesn't turn the ball over. He isn't playing because of hamstring problems and groin problems. We're missing Jack Clark. Guys, I think you also got PJ Hall. We've talked about all this and haven't missed PJ Hall, who is another one of the top 5 scorers from last year. And guys, I'm telling you, I'm real high on this team. I'm not a homer, but I'm real high. I
agree with what you're saying.
What about their depth? Because that's also a concern I've seen with Clemson is that depth.
I agree. Right now, it's a worry.
The starters are really good, but the depth coming off the bench could potentially be a struggle going forward.
Yes, fun. I agree, and that's where we're missing the injuries. Jack Clark comes back, you get another Chauncey Wiggins. He's a 6'10" forward that can drive, shoot the ball, play defense, get the boards, and you're missing Alex Hemingway, who is a potential starter. He was healthy 1 game and started. I mean, so you're adding so much when they come back. They've got to come back. I was really hoping they would before ACC play. There's a chance Jack Clark might play Wednesday, but Alex Hemingway is looking like another week out. So that'll hurt for sure. But yeah.
I think with Clemson, I'll just say this. My top 3 teams, which I think we all have the top – or no, we don't have all the top 3. But my top 3 teams were the hardest to decide for me. I think I could see any of these teams winning the league, and maybe even some of them slipping below the top 3. But I think with Clemson, what separates, I think, these 3 schools, multiple stars. I think they have multiple people who are stars in the ACC, and for Clemson, I think it's Hall and Girard. And I think with those 2 guys, and it helps for them too. One of them's kind of a big man, one of them's a perimeter shooter. I play well together. I think having a shooter like Girard is so like invaluable, having a guy who just makes tough threes all the time like it's nothing. If I have any questions about Clemson, it's again a question is depth, like what happens when Hall gets into some foul trouble early or something, picks up 2 fouls. Maybe Girard has an off shooting night. I guess my bigger concern with them almost has nothing to do necessarily with the players on the court and how this Clemson program proceeds with a team as good as they have. I worry about teams who have stars, but they're not a program that's used to having a lot of stars. And do they know how to coach those stars properly? Is it when you get down in the last 5 minutes of a game? I've watched only a few full out Clemson games so far, but and this is something that's minorly bothered me, is when you get in the last few minutes of the game, do you know who has the ball in their hands and who the play is running through? I think the players should know. It's either Hall or Girard. But I just question, maybe not even the coaching, but just what happens when they're in tight games. Do they know who to get the ball to in the right spots?
1,000,000%. My biggest questions on the team are, one, that I think Brad Brownell, if you've known me for any time period, I've been it's a roller coaster relationship with him, to say the least. But one big complaint on him that so many people have is that he can't close games. I mean, you look at last year, a lot of the games we lost from them coming back when we were up. You look at he's been at Clemson for 14 years.
And the Hall, like, not touching the ball.
Exactly. You look at that Memphis game. You know who had the ball for 40 seconds of our last minute and 10 seconds?
It was Hunter. Right?
It was Dylan Hunter, little, not our starter, the little brother who's averaging like 4 points a game and 2 assists.
Yeah.
Why does he have the ball?
That
PJ
bothers me so much.
Joe Girard was on the court.
That bothers me so much with big teams, because they don't. It's like you have to know who you want to give the ball to in clutch situations. That's a player thing and a coaching thing. So they have to know Hall or Girard should touch the ball on every possession. You want Dylan
Hunter to get the ball? That's fine. Swing it.
And I don't know if Clemson's as a program is used to coaching guys of that level, where it's like, we got to get one of these 2 guys the ball and nobody else shoots. Like, I don't think Brad's used to coaching like that. So that is a concern of mine.
You look at Brad's stars, you've got Jerome Blossom Game, he's playing overseas right now, I believe. You got the Booker brothers, you got DeMontez Stitt, but that was before his time. We don't have a lot of big names.
Girard and Hall will be guys that want to play in the league.
Yeah, I think we have one active player in the NBA right now, and he's a rookie for the Denver Nuggets. Hunter Tyson finished 3rd in ACC Player of the Year last year, but he wasn't a star player. Right. I mean, he was, but he wasn't the guy that the ball was getting. He was more of a star player in the fact of team mentality, leadership.
Both of those guys will get combine invites. I could see it.
But yeah, Anthony, any thoughts on Clemson?
No, they're right there with like all the Miami stats that I was saying earlier. Clemson's, right on their heels. They're second in field goal percentage, almost shooting 50%. 3-pointers, they're at 40%. Y'all are right there behind them. I really like the team. There is one guy that y'all haven't mentioned, Shefflin. I'm a big fan of Shefflin. He destroys the headband.
The headband.
Yeah. If he's just solely there for rebounds, that man's grabbing it. Any close loose ball, he's got it.
We had the chance to cover the ACC tournament or the Asheville championship game, and I think he had like 17 boards in one of those games.
Yeah,
he's a monster. I think 9 of those was offensive.
Yeah.
Oh, he's gonna get that if he's close. I really enjoy watching him play. But the rest of your team, again, like my question that I had for you is just that the concern for the depth with them. If you do get in foul trouble or somebody gets hurt,
Hall has to miss 5 games.
Yeah, at this point, it's just the bench isn't there at the moment. So But I really like y'all starting 5. Yeah, y'all got a good starting 5.
Yeah, depth. I think we're covered depth in the once Alex and Hemingway comes back, Jack Clark comes back. We're covered 1 through 4. We're covered the guards and the forwards. Center, our backup center right now is a guy named Boss Letty. Y'all spend any time watching him?
Honestly, I don't think I have.
You don't have to worry. Don't worry about it. He seems like a nice guy.
I don't gotta look him up.
No, it's rough. Taylor.
Reel?
So
highlight. I was gonna say
his highlight reel is probably.
Yeah. Oh man,
Taylor is my wife is not a basketball fan, but she'll go to some games with me. She took some notes at some of the games for me when we're working them, and most of the time her notes are number 33 looks confused on the court. That's our backup center. So if PJ Hall goes down, Ian takes the 5, and then we got Boss at the 4, and that's gonna be rough.
Or you go like small ball and just throw out 4 guards, 3 guards, or something.
Yeah. I mean, we do got 2 10 forwards. So yeah, it'd be rough.
Yeah. You could play like that.
Yeah. But yeah. All right. Final thoughts. I think we make the tournament. I think we're.
I agree. I think they make it this year.
I think we've removed Coach Brad's. His motto all year has been "Leave no doubt," and I think they're doing that.
Leave it.
Yeah.
And I don't see them dropping a bunch of like easy. Like I think they beat up on lower quality teams. I don't know how they'll fare in like really big ACC games, but hey, you never know.
Yeah. So
yeah,
all right.
They could win They could win it.
We'll get there.
They could absolutely win it.
No, I think we've never done it before. So
they could 100% win it. This might be the best chance ever.
It's our best chance in a long time.
Yeah, for sure.
So all right, number 2. Mike, you might be upset. My number 2, I got the Duke Blue Devils.
I'm not upset.
I've got North Carolina.
Okay. So this time, I think this is the first time where none of us agreed. Yeah, I think
none of us agreed. But we had the
same. Yeah,
very close. Yeah,
same top 3 different orders.
Let's talk about Duke. Michael, take it away.
Let's talk about Duke. So, okay, Duke has had an interesting start to the season. Been more interesting than previous starts to the years. Obviously, you're not super pumped with how they've done, but you're not also necessarily very distraught. I find myself in this weird middle ground with how I feel Duke has done. You obviously, I think the Arizona loss, we lost to Arizona, second game of the year at Cameron. I think that's a great loss. I think Arizona is a really good team that we were right in till the end. And I think if one possession goes another way, Duke could win that game, and it's a huge win. I don't mind a loss to that great of a team that early. It doesn't bother me. I don't think it bothers the committee at all either. And you got to look no further than like our AP poll ranking right now as to see how people value those types of games. You beat Michigan State. Michigan State was a ranked team coming into the year. I think they've fallen out of the rankings, but they've recently had they beat Baylor right before we beat Baylor, which is our biggest win of the year, and is a great win at Madison Square Garden. But the losses aren't losses that you love. You lost to Arkansas at Arkansas, which at the beginning of the year I would have told you was a good loss. Less so now because Arkansas hasn't performed as much as people have anticipated to. I think they played out of their minds against Duke, and they haven't played a game to that caliber since, which is a very common thing to do when you're playing a school like Duke, who has such the power of a big program coming in. I think it was the biggest game ever at Arkansas. I don't think they've had a bigger game than that ever. But yeah, that's a rough loss. And then obviously Georgia Tech is just inexcusable there. I mean, horrible loss. They did lose Tyrese Proctor, who's our sophomore returning guard, who I have a lot of praise for. I think is maybe the second or third best player on this team. Lost him 2 minutes into the game. I think we win that one if he stays in. But I actually think losing him has inadvertently helped us in the long run. Since then, our freshmen have really come alive, led by one of our freshmen, Jared McCain, who I think is a sneaky candidate to win ACC Freshman of the Year, which is a category that's been owned by Duke for like forever. But he is an awesome player who's really come alive since Proctor got hurt, and he's had to kind of fill his shoes as being the primary shooting guard, the primary guy shooting threes, and he shot threes at a super high clip. If you just look at his past 5 games, I think he's averaging over 18 points a game. I believe, with maybe 40% 3-point shooting or something like that, which is exactly what Duke needed on last year's team, but we have it for this year's team. Kyle Filipowski is obviously a great player. He's had some like subpar games. He's been banged up ever so slightly, has missed like halves and things like that. But I have no worries about Flip. I think he's developed his outside shot really well. And I feel good about where the Blue Devils are at, but I don't necessarily feel like the beginning of the year has gone exactly as planned. So I don't feel I've got us winning the ACC regular season, or I've got us at number 1, I guess.
Wow, spoiler alert.
But well, no, not so much. I've got a ranking as number 1. But like I don't feel amazing about that because I think there are some other good teams that haven't dropped the games that we've dropped yet. But I still think if you look at the roster, we have the best roster in the ACC. I like John Chire as a coach, and I think the star power of Duke is not matched by, I think, anybody in this conference. So I have to go with my gut there and put them at where I put them preseason. But I'm so on how the year's gone so far. But I feel better now than I did when you lose to Georgia Tech or even Arkansas because of the way our freshmen have played recently.
Yeah, I think Duke has fell one spot for me in the preseason. I got them at 2. I think by far
get that. Yeah.
They're most talented team in the ACC for sure, no doubt. They're a top 5, top 3 most talented in college basketball. They got players.
We'll be even more talented next year.
I'll say that's Duke. Every year you have players.
I'll throw that out there now.
Yeah, what's his name? Connor Flagg. Yeah,
Cooper Flagg.
Going to be huge.
Yeah.
But I think Duke is across the board. They're leading stats differential between almost everybody. I think you're plus 16 in points per game, plus 6% in field goal, plus 3% 3-pointers. The only thing that you're not winning with stat-wise when you're going up against your opponents is your opponents are getting one more block a game than y'all are.
Yeah.
I think that you live with that. I think you can live with that. I think Duke is a great team, a really solid team. I think they're a threat no matter who they play, no matter what happens. My question marks is, I, like you said, there were some games that's like, what's going on? I probably pay attention more to Duke this year just because we spend a lot of time together with work and everything. But, yeah, that Arizona game, look, I remember that game happening. It was like, you know what I mean? It was a loss, but it wasn't terrible. Second game of the season, you're still clicking. You're fighting.
That to me was like we were up by 2 with I think like a minute left. They make an and one and they win. Like it almost a coin flip game.
That game, the selection committee would probably rather see that game than a blowout win over Queens in that spot.
100%. We just
keep the results. I think if you put that in your second game, I think they'd rather see that 5-point loss to a 12 team Arizona, they were higher than 12 at that time. Michigan State, y'all won good. That was a good game.
I think they'll
y'all
be
came
better
back that game, right?
We were ahead for most of the game, I think, but we had some moments where they'd creep back up, but we shut them out at the end. Neutral site game in Chicago United Center.
Baylor you played well against.
Biggest game of the year.
Yeah, that was a great game. Arkansas, Georgia Tech, those games. I remember those were back to back, right?
I believe so. Yep.
So yeah, that one hurt. I think
the Georgia Tech loss was certainly worse. But losing Proctor early in that game, I think doomed us. But continue.
My biggest question mark on Duke is I feel like they still haven't completely connected. I think their potential is here and their team is here. Yeah. And I just think last year it was kind of a late spot when y'all finally reached your potential.
Very late.
That's my question. Yeah.
So
if they can find that
before early last year or this year, because we had so many guys come back, which is never a thing for Duke. So I figured we wouldn't be going through the chemistry struggles, but they definitely are. But the past few weeks, I think we've hit it. It's just a matter of like, well, when we play a great team, what's the result then? I think the weaknesses for Duke would be foul trouble on our stars early. Like Flip has shown a little bit of carelessness, like getting fouls he didn't need to take early in games. That's a weakness. And then I think the other one would be 3-point shooting in big games. Duke is a good 3-point shooting team if you look at stats, but in all of our big games that especially the ones we've lost, Arizona, even Michigan State, which we won. Arizona, Michigan State, Arkansas, Georgia Tech. Baylor, it was better. So that was, but they shot the ball horrible from 3, and that's supposed to be a big calling card for this team because we typically start 3 guards every time we play, and a lot of the times we have 4 guards on the court. So when you play a style like that, you got to be a good 3-point shooting team. But those are Duke's 2 weaknesses for me.
Anthony,
what
what's
about
your
the
thoughts?
rebounding?
I'm actually less concerned about the rebounding than I think a lot of other people are. I think it's.
I'm just looking at the stats. I mean,
Mhm.
I think they were like 11th. And
Yeah, they're not great.
If you compare them to like Georgia Tech was averaging about 6 more rebounds a game. So
yeah,
is that a concern going forward for y'all? You think?
I think it's less of a concern. Obviously, you would rather not be bad at rebounding. But I think the bigger thing for Duke is because we're starting a smaller lineup, I feel like we know we're going to get out-rebounded. It's just we have to offset that with speed and scoring on the other side of the ball and turnovers by causing some steals with our guards.
What you doing that?
Yeah, so exactly. So I've been actually less concerned about I think overall what Duke fans were concerned about before this year was interior defense and rebounding because we lost Derek Lively to the NBA, who was an incredible shot blocker, like one of the best 1-year shot blockers Duke has ever seen. And Flip can play defense at center, but he's not like this big monster in the post that everyone's afraid to go down and score on. But I think the flip side of that is on offense, somebody has to guard Flip on the perimeter, and he is the best 5 at the perimeter, I think, in the league.
I don't
maybe
even want to see DJ Burns try to guard him on the perimeter.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is that we mismatch on the other end. So while, yes, we might give up some rebounds, if we can team rebound enough to keep it close, I like our chances of having enough on the other end of the ball to just outscore people.
I'm really excited about that PJ Hall-Filipowski meeting. It's end of January coming up.
Great. Very different.
That's gonna be a great matchup.
For
players, but and PJ. Yeah, but again, I think the big advantage Flip has over everybody is just how he moves on the perimeter. Like, I mean, he's just spin moves into 3-pointers. But yeah. I think that's all I've got.
All right.
Like we're at, don't love where we're at, but
yeah. Final thoughts, ending statement for Duke.
I have Duke number 1. I think they're gonna win they're gonna finish first in the ACC.
Yeah,
they got that team. So
I have us at 1-2 purely because it's like you look at the roster. I just think we're better set up to win than anybody else. But it wouldn't shock me if any of my top 3 teams win.
Yeah, I don't have them win, and the reason I don't have them win in regular season, we'll get there in a second. My only thing is I think it's going to be probably like last year. I think they're going to wait till later till they hit their full potential and make tear it up. Exactly, tear it up late. But I think it's just going to be a little too late to really run the table.
Yeah, I get it.
So let's move on. One team left. My number 1, and it very, very slightly this changed. My number 1 was UNC, and that hurt.
Yeah, I had them at 2.
I had them at 3.
1, 2, 3. Let's talk about them. What's our thoughts?
Why don't you go on this one, Anthony? You kick us off.
Let's see. They beat Tennessee, number 10. They beat number 20 Arkansas and number 7 Oklahoma. And this is the same thing with Duke. I mean, scheduling those hard games early on can be difficult. But again, they've lost to UConn, Kentucky, Villanova. Villanova wasn't even ranked, but
yeah,
you know how
that's Villanova probably their worst loss. But even that's not horrible. In Atlantis, right? Wasn't it like Battle for Atlantis?
But I mean, their scoring's up there. Like, I mean, like y'all keep saying, the top 3 is interchangeable right now. Carolina has a good team. Let's see. They're scoring 85 points a game. I mean, scoring was win. So I mean, I think they'll dominate. They'll dominate a lot of the ACC schools.
Yeah, I think so.
I think I love their roster. You talk about top most talented teams in the ACC. Duke's number 1. I think UNC's number 2. And I'll be honest, my favorite player to watch isn't Armando Bacot. I mean, he's a great player for sure. He's just, I don't know. He gives me this. This might be hot topic. What's the guy's name in Purdue?
Zach Edey.
Yeah, he reminds me of him. Just boring to watch. He's got some exciting moments.
I get it.
I don't know.
No, I get it.
Man, I love watching that freshman, Cadeau. Yeah, Cadeau. Yeah. I love watching. Is that how you say his name? Am I saying that right?
Elliot Cadeau.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Cadeau. He's almost 4 assists per game. I like watching him. He's exciting. He's a young freshman. He plays like a freshman, but a mature freshman. He has his moments where it isn't the best. I think he's got like 1.4 turnovers. Yeah, 1.4 turnovers a game. But he's exciting to watch. I like watching the rookie or the freshman out there.
He's got a unique play style. There aren't a lot of guys coming out of high school that are known for like their passing and playmaking ability.
He's not selfish at all, which very surprising. Which honestly, UNC is not used to that.
He threw a pass in Cormac Ryan's back. What was that? Their last loss or whatever.
That's right. UNC's not used to selfless guards, right? Caleb Love. little shock there, but he's the Tar Heel for life, according to him.
Yeah.
I think UNC, like you said, the schedule, the reason I haven't won is because their losses are to good opponents. They've lost to 2 top 15 teams in UConn and Kentucky. They lost to Nova, which I'm not as low on Nova as a lot of people are this year.
It's not
they lost to them in overtime. Yeah, they've lost 3 good losses that I think committees will look at and be like, we got zero problem with those. I think they got a lot of talent. They've performed. The only reason they are a little bit above Duke right now is I think at this moment right now they've played a little bit better, more consistent, more put together than Duke. I don't think that stays like that, but right now that's why I have them there.
Their losses are better than ours.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Can't forget about RJ Davis.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No.
Talented.
Yeah, I think with
scoring right now.
Yep, he has 21 points a game, I think.
Yeah.
I think with Carolina, I agree. I think they're probably the second most talented roster. My thing that holds me back from them is I think they are the only one of the top 3 teams that have a huge glaring weakness, and that's they are horrible defensively. They are awful, and they were the same last year. And it's what allowed them to miss the tournament last year is because while they could score a decent amount, they could not defend anybody. And I think they might actually be a worse defensive team than last year's team. And part of that is because of physicality, because they lose Leaky Black, right? Who was known for his defense and his physicality. And instead your sub end, they lose Caleb Love, which most Tar Heel fans would celebrate that. But they bring in Cadeau, who I have enjoyed his play style. I actually think he's played a little worse than I anticipated him to. I think they will need to lean on him a little more for scoring as the year goes on. But I think defensively, Cadeau is not up to snuff. And RJ Davis defensively, we've known for years, is not up to snuff. They also, both of their guards, who I think later in the year, I think Cadeau and Davis are going to play most of the minutes at 1 and 2. And later in the year, they are both, I think, under 6 foot guards, which against big teams that are got have NBA talent, man, it is going to be hard to watch them guard those types of guys. It's how Duke, I think, was able to sweep them last year. Tyrese Proctor, our 1 or 2 guard, depending on how you really, our primary point guard, is like 6'5", and RJ Davis trying to guard him, he's put in a really tough spot because of the size. So I think that's why I don't have them winning, and I could even see them slipping lower, is because they do have, of the top 3 teams, a way bigger gap in their game than I think the other ones do, than Clemson or Duke do. I don't think Clemson or Duke don't have a big weakness as the Tar Heels do.
Where did you have Carolina?
I've got them at 2.
Okay, got you. Yeah. I think
so. I do think at the end of the day, I am picking them to play really well because I think the pieces that they got, Cormac Ryan, I think was a good addition in his 3-point shooting. I think they really needed a guy like that last year. So I do think they'll still win more than they did last year. But I just think defensively, man, it's like, where do you go to get defense on this team? Like when you need to stop, it's just hard for them to do it.
Yeah. I think the reason I had them 1 is I agree defense, they are weak, but I think offense, there's very little teams that can play with them. Very little.
Yeah.
There's very few teams that can keep up with that pace, to keep up with those points per game.
I get it. And I think primarily it's because of RJ Davis.
Oh, for sure. He's
who
good.
I've been saying for a couple years now, I think has been Carolina's best player for the past several years. I think Baycott gets all the praise, but I like Davis with the ball in his hands more than anybody on that team.
Yeah, agreed.
So let's recap. What's our top 5s? Go through. Anthony, what's your top 5?
I had Wake Forest at 5, Miami at 4, North Carolina, Clemson, and then Duke at number 1.
Michael, you had.
Yeah, I think mine is Wake, Miami, Clemson, North Carolina, Duke. So just the same as Anthony's, just with Clemson, North Carolina flipped, I think.
So I'm the only one with a different top 5. I have Pitt, Miami, Clemson, Duke, UNC. So top 4, we got the same, a little different order. And that 5th one, gosh, big difference.
We'll revisit the Pitt conversation.
Yeah, we'll come back. We'll see what happens. We'll see when Wake misses and Pitt's a 4 seed. I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
I'm just kidding. But awesome. So that's our rankings. We're going to take one more quick break for some sponsors, and we will be right back to talk about some predictions as we end the episode. Awesome. See you soon. And we're back. Thanks so much for being here. We're going to jump in and end the episode with some excitement. You've heard our rankings. You've heard us walk through who we think is going to be great. You've heard a little bit of argument. Our biggest difference, what was it? Pitt. We got some big rankings.
5 to 11, there. I think.
Yeah, big jump. We'll see how that goes. But, hey, we're going to end. We thought it'd be fun to go ahead and end with our predictions for some awards, some of the awards. So we're going to start off with Freshman of the Year for the ACC. Michael, you want to take us away on this one?
Yeah, I'll do it. I'm going to pick a homer pick here. I think Jared McCain is going to win Freshman of the Year, ACC Freshman of the Year. I think a big part of that, maybe it's superstition, but for the past, I think like 10 years, Duke has won it 3 years in a row, and then somebody else wins. Duke wins it 3 years in a row, then somebody else wins. And we're on number 2 right now, 2 years in a row running. So Jared McCain needs needs to step up and make it happen. I think if there's anything that's going to keep him from winning it, is this: there are so many mouths to feed on Duke's offense that there are a lot of people will score. So it might take away from his personal scoring totals. But again, I talked about it earlier, but if you look at just his last 5 games, I think he's averaging more than 18 points a game on, I think, around 40% 3-point shooting. And I think with this year's ACC freshman class, I think that might be enough to get it done for him. So I'm going to go with an award that Duke has owned. This is the Duke Award pretty much every year.
There you go. And a lot of times it's one and done. This is the only
100%.
Yeah.
You guys know the last 2? Give me the last 2.
Filipowski was last year.
Yeah, who was 2 years ago?
Oh gosh,
you remember Rookie of the Year NBA? You know who he is.
Oh gosh, Zion?
No, Paolo.
I was just kidding.
Zion was the gap.
Little long, 3 years ago, something like that. Anthony, who you got for Freshman of the Year?
So Pittsburgh, Carlton Carrington. He is averaging 14 points, 5 boards, and 5 assists. I mean, I don't think you can get a more balanced player out there. I think he's going to bring home
this early too. That's good.
He's going to mess up the Duke streak, and he's going to take it home from Pittsburgh. I know we had some. I think John, you had him high, right?
Yeah, he was good.
And then, or you had Pittsburgh high.
For sure. Number 5. They're going to be good.
And I have them low. However, I do think Cardington will bring home that Freshman of the Year.
I got you. So I'm going to also pick a third player. We're going to have 3 different players. I'm going to go Cadeau from UNC. I think he's, like we talked about, a mature freshman. He's already making a big difference. He's averaging, like we said, almost 4 assists. He's also pairing that with 7 points, something like that. Not a lot of turnovers. I think if he can bump that scoring up a little bit, get that in the double digits, take the turnovers down a little bit, we'll be able to get that. So that is my prediction for that. I think Elliot Cadeau will take away with the Freshman of the Year. So next up, we're going to keep moving on. Player of the Year, fun one. Player of the Year championship right here. Who do we think is going to take on Player of the Year for the ACC this year? Anthony, you want to start us off?
Yeah. I have North Carolina's Armando Bacot. Currently, he is averaging a double-double. Yes, I'm not a fan of the Tar Heels either. But if he can keep that consistency up in points and rebounds, again, I'm a fan of the balanced ball. He's not leading. I think R.J. Davis is leading points for them, but he's your big man down low. He can score, get the rebounds.
He hasn't won Player of the Year before, has he? I don't think he's won ACC Player of the Year, and I think
and it's like his 30th year.
Yeah, they might feel a little bad for him. So, give him a pity,
a little sympathy vote.
Yeah, sympathy. He could get the sympathy vote.
I'm giving it to him though. He's had a solid start so far, and I think he can bring home the ACC Player of the Year.
Michael, who you got?
Okay, this is a big pick for me. This is how I'm going to show you I'm not unbiased. But I think R.J. Davis is going to win ACC Player of the Year. I think the world, they love guards. I think they love North Carolina. They're a big program. I think because they do better than they did last year, they'll get a lot of national attention. And I think a big spotlight is going to shine on how R.J. Davis has taken the scoring mantle. And I think a big thing with winning Player of the Year is that you can't have too many other players on your team that need the ball and score a lot. And pretty much the only one on that team is him and Bacot that are going to score 18 a game or something. So I think he's in the perfect spot to just score in bunches and get a lot of votes for it. So I think he's going to take it home.
I'm going to go homer pick. I'm going to go PJ Hall. I think for the reasons we talked about. When we talked about Clemson, what did we say? Their depth. If PJ goes out for 5 games, completely different team. I think they go from top 3 in the power rankings to top 8, top 7. I think that big jump if he's out. I think he's carrying us. I think, like you said, with Carolina, not a lot of people that are going to score. You got him. You got Joe Girard, maybe Chauncey Wiggins every once in a while. You'll have those 2 players. So I think PJ Hall will take it home, Player of the Year, win it there. So
that's actually why I steered clear of Filipowski, who was the preseason favorite to win this, because I
was surprised you didn't say
that was going to be your vote.
I know. It's very surprising to me as well. But I just think Duke has I think Flip is probably the best player in the ACC. I just think when you're talking about who wins Player of the Year, it's guys who have the big stats, who have the numbers. And I think because Duke has more talent around than any other team, he just won't get the personal stats maybe that they like. But, yeah.
Fair. All right. Well, we're going to move on. Coach of the Year. Where are we going here? Who wants to start us off?
I will.
Go ahead. Anthony.
So my pick for ACC Coach of the Year, I'm going with Jim Larranaga. And the reason I am going with him is because last year I feel like when he was gypped, he led them to the Final Four. No offense to Jeff Cable, but I mean he's led his team to the Elite 8 2 years in a row, looking for a 3rd year. As you can tell by the rankings, I have them up at 4. I think he's going to lead another team to the tournament. He was a lot. That was a lot for all of us. So I think he deserves it. I think he's going to get it this year. And he's going to be at the top of the ACC.
Yeah, I'll go ahead. Go Nets. I won't say much. I had the same. I picked Jim Larranaga. Same reasonings. Man. I think could have got it last year. I liked that Jeff won it last year personally, but Jim definitely won it. If Jim had won it last year, it wouldn't have been. I don't think it'd have been a terrible choice. So I think he'll win it. Another good year for Miami, and he'll bring home Coach of the Year for ACC.
Yeah, I'm actually going to disagree with you guys on this one. I think you guys ready for this pick? I think if there's one thing we know that they love for Coach of the Year, they don't vote for the guys that are good every year. Coach K never won Coach of the Year. They don't like those guys.
I like where you're going.
They like the stories. They like the stories. They like picking coaches of teams that underperform and then all of a sudden they're good for a year or 2. Yep. So I think the Coach of the Year is going to be none other than John's favorite. I think it's going to be Brad. I think Brunell is going to win Coach of the Year. I think Clemson finishing in 3rd or 4th or 2nd or certainly 1st will give him enough attention to get that nod, as Clemson hasn't done something that or hasn't been that significant of a program in the past few years. And I think because we think they're going to do so well this year, I think they're maybe the top story of the ACC this year, and they give it to them.
I'll be honest, I was going to pick him, but I didn't want to have Player of the Year and Coach of the Year, so I was like, I feel a little bit better about PJ Hall.
Surely Clemson isn't going to have the Player and Coach of the Year.
Yeah, and we'll just keep it going.
He's going to get it. I think he's going to get it.
I think he will too. I think he's got a good chance, or I don't think he will. I think Jim Larinago, but I think Brad Burnell's got a good chance. Regular season champ. Yeah, it is. Regular season champ. I'll stick with it. This would help Michael's cause. I'm picking it. Mark it down. Put it in the books. Clemson's winning the ACC regular season.
And there we go. Interesting. You had them 3 in your rankings and then pick them to win.
Yeah. My rankings were based off of right now. Based off of right now where they're at. And I think preseason to now, I think they're 3rd. I think Duke and UNC have it. But I think in the long term, we've got the experience, got the talent. I think they pull it home.
Yeah, I'll go next. I think I picked Duke for this. Although I don't feel awesome about this. Duke historically has not been great at winning ACC regular championships. Like even with our best teams, like I think only one of our national title teams have we won the regular season ACC championship, ACC tournament with, I believe. They did do it 2 years ago with Paolo. But typically they fare way better in the ACC tournament and even the NCAA tournament. But I just think I put them at number 1. So to me, that was like, I gotta pick them as regular season champs.
Yeah. Fair. Anthony?
I also have Duke winning the ACC regular season. It's a new environment in Duke. And I think they can change that up and maybe start playing regular seasons.
You're not wrong. Shire has already shown a lot of differences than Kay. Maybe he'll be more adept at regular season titles.
I like that team. I think they're gonna pull it off, and we'll see how far they make it going long term. But I like Duke.
Sweet. All right, well, we're gonna end it with this last thing of the show: ACC champions, the winning the tourney, making the run. Who's gonna win?
Tournament champs.
Who's gonna be the automatic qualifier from the ACC this year? Who wants to kick us off?
I don't want to start this one. I will.
I can.
Go ahead.
So throughout this, we've been very high on this team. Michael was high on them with me as well.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go with Miami. I think Miami makes a run. Again, I think they're automatic bid, whether they win it or not. But I think they're going to go into the ACC tournament and they're going to pull it out, and they'll be the automatic bid for the ACC going into the NCAA tournament. I really like their team. I think their stats so far has spoken for it, and I got faith in them.
Awesome. Not a terrible pick. I have them up there for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Michael, go ahead, sir.
Okay. I got to ask you guys, are you sitting down?
Go ahead.
Yeah.
It looks like you're sitting down. Wake Forest is going to win the ACC tournament.
What?
Wake Forest will win the ACC tournament. They have 2 crazy good guards, and they can play fast, score a bunch, shoot well. I think they're just one of those teams, man, that you get them in the tournament, nobody will want to play them. I like their chances.
I think that's the only way they make it to the NCAA tournament. So
no, I think they're in anyway.
I agree. I have them at 5. So
I think they're in anyway, but I think I think that it'll be a funky. Sometimes the ACC tournament, weird stuff happens. It was Virginia Tech that won 2 years ago. Nobody saw that coming. I think Wake has the team to upset some big schools going into the later rounds. I think Wake will win. I got Wake winning the tournament.
That's a big one. I have them not making the NCAA, and you have them winning the ACC. So
winning the
Pitt
tournament.
had the biggest ranking jump. That might be the biggest success jump. So we'll see how it turns out. Mine is.
I love Wake this year. I love Wake.
Yeah, Wake's good. Wake's good. Nah, not great. I'm just kidding. Mine is. Mine might be the. It sounds like mine's the only popular. That's when you look at predictions, ACC, all that kind of stuff. I have Duke. I think Duke, like I said earlier.
Repeat.
I think they're going to click late. I think they're going to find their stride real late in the season, and I think that ACC tournament's going to be one of their peaks. Where they really tear the table. I think they're only going to have a couple close games. I think Miami will be a tough challenge if they face them in the ACC tourney. But, I think Duke wins it.
Did the same thing last year.
Yep. I think it's going to be very similar.
And faced and beat Miami. So similar path.
Absolutely. That's what I'm calling. So that's the show. It's been awesome, guys. I really appreciate both of you. Thanks so much for being on here for the inaugural video episode for Clemson Tiger Wire podcast. Hey, you never know. Maybe we get back together towards the end of the season and see.
Yeah, maybe we do a mid-season checkup.
That'd be fun.
Where we're at.
That'd be
real cool.
And then we come back at the end and write our predictions down. Set them in stone.
I'll get it. I got you. But hey, I appreciate you guys so much. Two of my best friends out there. Y'all mean so much to me on this, but also in life. So I appreciate y'all. Thanks for hopping on.
Go Pack.
Yeah.
Awesome. I'm going to close this out. Thanks so much for joining us today for the Clemson Tiger Wire podcast for our inaugural episode. Video-wise, it's episode 10, but video-wise, make sure you follow us, subscribe on wherever you're listening or wherever you're watching, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcast, wherever it is. Also, join in on the conversation over on Twitter or X. Follow us at the Tiger Wire. We'd love to be able to join in a conversation there. Let us know your thoughts. Let us know where you think we went wrong. Where do you stand on Pitt? Where do you stand on Wake Forest? What side of the table you're on, the right side or with the others? But well, it'll be great. We'll see you there. Also, check out, we're launching a new Instagram page and TikTok account where you can go and catch some clips of the videos of the podcast. So thanks so much for joining us. We really appreciate you, and we will see you next time. As always, keep that Tiger Pride alive and roaring, and go Tigers.